All right, all right, all right. We are live. We are live. We are live. Bear with me. This is wild. When I put Chief X in, I usually will pop up first, right? On my tablet or YouTube or whatever. Because I'm always putting Chief X in. But now, the goddamn Kansas City Chiefs keep popping up. I guess it's a lot of talk going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. So, in the algorithms, I'm way down there. Now I'm gonna build a beat. Hey, what's up, family? Play one song and we're gonna get into this. It should be interesting, right? And let's get into this. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. Let's get into this.
this party to the next spot. Shining like a light in the nighttime. Loving everything that you got. Thinking that it might be the right time to take this party to the next spot. Shining like a light in the nighttime. Loving everything that you got. Thinking that it might be the right time to take this party to the next spot. Alright, okay, I never felt this way. Okay, alright, let's get it on tonight. Alright, okay, I never felt this way. Okay, alright, let's get it on tonight. Shining like a light. Shining like a light. Shining like a light in the nighttime. Loving everything that you got. Shining like a light in the nighttime. Loving everything that you got. Thinking that it might be the right time to take this party to the next spot.
Yes, it is. What's up, King Folk? Yes, that's that group Tuxedo. That's my happy song. When I'm in a good mood, I'll play that song. It's called damn, what's the name of that song? Let me look real quick. I forgot. The Right Time by Tuxedo. The Right Time. Classic. Oak the Goat. I want to say thank you, man, for the super chat. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all your support all the time. Dr. Banoob, I appreciate your support. Thanks for the super chat. Right, we're gonna have a nice time. I'm not gonna try not to be here too long. Right, today we're reviewing the interview done by the pseudo killers with Dr. Rebecca Wang, the Egyptologist. Right, they interviewed Dr. Rebecca Wang, who's an Egyptologist, and let me just share my screen real quick and show y'all something. This should be entertaining today. And of course, I'm going to toot my horn a little bit, but I'm going to give props for this interview, right? I'm not going to be like Chris Harris, hating. Right? So let me just, oops. All right. Where's Rebecca Wayne at? Where's her info? Where is she? Where is she? I just had her up on the screen. Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Hold on. Hold on. Here we go. There you go. Dr. Rebecca Wang. A wonderful lady. Right? The thing I like about pseudo killers choosing Dr. Rebecca Wang, Department of Near Eastern Languages and Civilizations at University of Chicago, is she is a what I would consider a neutral source. She's not an Afrocentric. She's not a Eurocentric. She's not white. She's not black. She's not part of the MENA people, which would be Middle Eastern, excuse me, yeah, Middle Eastern, North African. She's none of that. She's a lady who is Chinese, born in Hong Kong. I've been to Hong Kong, by the way. Had a ball when I was there. She's a PhD in Egyptology, Department of Near Eastern Languages and Civilizations, University of Chicago. Her research focuses on Egypt diplomacy and foreign relations during the New Kingdom period. My PhD dissertation investigates Egypt's diplomatic contacts with other Near Eastern polities from the perspective of intercultural communication and miscommunication. Right? She earned a bachelor's degree in history. Right? Good thing to have a bachelor's degree in at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. After graduation, she worked at CUHK. I'm not sure what that exactly stands for. Chicago University, probably, for a year as a research assistant. Now, look here. I have an ex girlfriend who has a PhD in vision science. She's not an optometrist or ophthalmologist, right? Because she never did do her internship and continue get to her continuing credits, right? So she just has a PhD in vision science. So we call her Dr. Veronica Harrington, my ex girlfriend, right? Um, um, so she should do a lot of research assistant work, a lot of research work. And they do some real research, right? It's not no lightweight stuff. So she graduated. I worked for such and such college for a year as a research assistant. Before commencing my doctoral studies at the University of Chicago, I completed a master's degree in Egyptology at the University of Cambridge. University of Cambridge is not no punk ass university. Okay, I have participated in three excavations in Turkey, Israel, and Egypt. Right? She's a well-read lady, a nice lady, a polite lady, and I really actually really liked her. Would you say take my time, chef? All right, I'm gonna take my time. So check this out, y'all. Let me remove her and let me give my spiel. Now, I do have to chastise the pseudo killers for one thing, and I hope they don't take it personal. Can everybody hear me well? Let's hit a number 8 to let me know I'm great if you can hear me well and I can continue. I hate to keep talking if I'm not heard well, right? Hit a number 8 so we can continue and I can know I'm heard well. Would you say Astro of 87? She was very fair. I see the 8s. Dr. Banoob, you are quick at the trigger today, right? You should be in the wild, wild west. You would have shot him down. So, what Chief X do is I appreciate experts, right? So I appreciate the pseudo killers bringing Dr. Rebecca Wang on. It was enlightening. It was fantastic. She's a wonderful lady, and I thank you, Dr. Rebecca, if you're listening, right? But one thing I want to get on the pseudo killers for, and actually everybody who has a podcast, who does live streams and does presentations and put together panels, right? Everyone needs to understand this. We have to stop being a laughing stock and stop embarrassing ourselves on the world stage. What do you mean by that, Chief X? Dr. Wang may even see this video. Who knows? I know Dr. Rebecca Wang, and this is just human nature, when Pseudo Killers aired the show, which was the next day or two, I guess, after the interview, they aired her show and played her interview. Right after the show, they said we're doing an after show to discuss the interview and maybe convene a panel or what have you. Family. Dr. Rebecca's a professional. She may have had a boyfriend, a sister, a family member, a close co-worker, a colleague. Tune in and listen. People want to see themselves critiqued. This is just natural human behavior. So I am absolutely positive and absolutely sure that Dr. Rebecca Wang also watched the after show. That was her critique. She wants to hear what people have to say about the interview. You understand me so far? Now, I was totally pissed off on the after show. The after show was around an hour and 15 minutes. It was brief. Um, and a few people came on the panel. One was a brother named G. Lacan, or G. Laquan. Family. Certain people should never, ever be on a panel. The after show was embarrassing, and I felt like, cringing. You cannot bring people like G. Laquan, who has mental health issues, on a panel on a after show. I'm sure Rebecca Wang was like, are these guys serious? This is your clique? These are the people you fuck with? Listen here, family. You have to understand this. There are many and a lot of people in this so-called online conscious community, for lack of a better word, who is not wrapped too tight. Let's just be honest. I'm not trying. I need to put this out there because I want people to take heed to it. Don't take this personal. The after show, G. Laquan comes on and sounds so ignorant, asked the most stupidest question, and had the worst listening comprehension I have ever seen. He embarrassed black folk. So I'm holding the people on the panel, the pseudo killers, responsible for bringing whack jobs on the panel at a time like that. If Rebecca Wang and any of her colleagues or friends or anybody was tuned in, they had said, this is a fucking circus. Who the fuck is this nutcase on the panel? It was an hour and a half after show, pseudo killers. You spent 45 minutes of this going back and forth arguing with one man, one nutcase named G. Laquan. G. Laquan should never be on anyone's panel if they consider themselves an intellectual. Now, we may not say we're scholars, but I like intellectual things. I like scholarly things. I would never lower myself and put somebody in my panel named G. Laquan. You guys embarrass black folk when you do that. People tout themselves as to being intellectuals and into scholarly things. And here come, we just had a PhD. You do an after show and you bring the high level conversation, as you say, down. By putting people like G. Laquan on the panel to question you. Many of these people have nothing to add. They have no points to make. They have nothing to say. They're only on a panel to critique and to interrogate people with stupidity. You guys have to stop. Like, I'm so embarrassed with Smash Rockwell. Considers himself an intellectual. I think sometimes he thinks he's a scholar. But his main sidekick, the person he turns the panel over to, his co-host, is Pan-African James. A man who was thinking, who still thinks and will argue to the day that Nigeria is North Africa. This is embarrassing when you have these people on a panel running roughshod through the community, running off at the mouth, saying the most stupid shit. I ask you, this is not a shot. This is just a pull-up. You know how you just give somebody advice? I'm asking you guys to stop doing that. It is okay to say, you know what? I can't let this person on the panel today. I'm okay. And don't let them on the panel. You're doing black folk a service. I was embarrassed for you guys arguing with this idiot for 45 minutes. Don't do that again. Do not allow G. Laquan on any panels. He came on Sinetter's panel when I was there. I said, Sinetter, get this dude off my panel. I can't do it. I always just tell Unc will debate anybody. Because people have this thing, I want to beat you up. I want to debate you. I want to beat you up. I don't argue and debate with anybody. I tell Sinetter, I don't want to, nope, I'm not debating him. Nope, Sinetter, nope, nope, nope. Bring me your best. Give me Jabari, give me Polite, give me your best. Don't bring me no fucking flukies. I said, son, I used to always say, Brother Ankh will debate anybody with mental health issues. If you got Down syndrome, Brother Ankh will debate you. And it plays out this way. Now I'm just opening up. I'm just to pull up. Ankh, y'all, be careful who you let on panels. It's not a good look for us. We looking like a circus and circus monkeys. That's all I wanted to say. Okay. Don't do that shit again. You know? So certain panels, you have to, there's a time and place for everything, is my point. That wasn't the time and place for any nutcases to be on the panel. If you like to go back and forth with somebody named Pan African James, you guys, that's fine, but it's a time and a place. And sometimes you don't allow certain people on certain panels at certain times. Can we, do you guys understand that? Hit a yes in the chat if you understand me. I need some feedback on this. I said, he pisses me off. Listen, if you guys don't understand, I worked in the field of mental health for 10 years. Behavior modification for 10 years. These people are people with bad behavior and slight mental health issues. I do not understand how you guys can't see that. Okay. All right. Now, how do I want to start? Where do I want to start at? Okay. So let's get into this presentation as a review. And why don't we have experts on more often? Right? One time, let me share my screen real quick. Hold on. Okay. During a time when we were talking about viruses and coronavirus was out, and everybody was secluded, and we were talking about virology, epidemiology, the vaccine and stuff. This wasn't my lane, so what I did, I said I'm gonna bring a professional on, and I told others I don't know why they didn't use this man, but let me show you him. Dr. Wilson, who has a channel called Debunk the Funk with Dr. Wilson. This is I brought him on to talk about vaccines, right? And there was a panel of me, Unbiased Sports, Montoya, right? And Dr. Wilson.
And that memory is what protects you from disease. That ability to mount that really fast immune response and clear the virus.
Now, I just want to show you him. Dr. Debunk the Funk is the name of his YouTube channel, right? Let me just show so you guys can see. Because we need to bring on more experts, right? The name of his channel is Debunk the Funk with Dr. Wilson. I brought him in as an expert to talk about vaccines and virology and things like that. Great guy. His channel is dedicated to debunking pseudoscience. I told people to please use him. They didn't care. What they wanted to do is put themselves on the front line and act like they're the experts with the vaccines and virology and things like that. I said, some of y'all need to be quiet. Just bring the expert on. Let the expert teach. I will not sit here and listen to some idiot in the conscious community tell me about virology. I listen to Dr. Wilson. Okay? He's available. He loves to come on there. He knows about the conscious community. He's a molecular biologist. Right?
Hey, I'm Dr. Wilson. I'm a PhD molecular biologist, and welcome to another COVID debunking video. So the Florida Surgeon General is a PhD molecular biologist, and welcome to another COVID debunking video.
These are people we need to have on, experts. I've contacted recently this anthropologist, this white lady. And when I bring her on, it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to interview her by myself. I may ask a few people, maybe Chef Ron and Corey, to help me interview this lady. But it's going to be fantastic, right? So let me move off this and let me just get into the review of Dr. Wang's interview. Okay, so I have Dr. Wilson's information. If anybody ever wanted to bring him on, he's great. He can't wait to come on these things and do an interview and break all this shit down. Would you say, Raheem? You love Dr. Debunk the Funk. Yeah, he's a cool cat. He kills everybody. Okay, so here we go. PK interviews with the experts, Dr. Rebecca Wang. Right? So where should I start? Let me just start with one thing, because we were arguing, and people need to understand this.
Been trying a country called Punt, and they send out.
Because when I was debunking Black Egypt, people kept bringing up Punt, the land of Punt, and it's not really a lot of information on it. So I discard talking about Punt, the land of Punt. And when I heard her say this, I said, she is right. Listen to what she says.
Trading expeditions to this mythical country called Punt. They send out trading expeditions to this mythical country called Punt. And
what did she say? This mythical country called Punt. She considers it mythology in general. A lot of people do. Although there are some attestations to it, it's not clear, concise information. Let go of Punt, people.
Generations of archaeologists and scholars have been trying to pinpoint the precise location of this country. Some say it's somewhere, in the eastern coast of Africa, probably modern-day Eritrea, Ethiopia, southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula. But I would say this is probably futile to search for pinpoint a precise location. It's probably futile to search for pinpoint a precise location. It could be probably futile to search for pinpoint.
Your efforts will be futile. Fuck Punt. Stop trying to use Punt in an argument. Okay? I just want to say that. And let's move on. Okay. So some other points she made, and I'm just playing this to tease Brother Smash Rockwell.
In the New Kingdom
Listen.
period, the term Magi actually became synonymous with the term for police. And even the term Magi actually became synonymous with the term for police. The term Magi actually became synonymous with the term for police.
Because when I said it's police, people got an attitude, act like I was tripping. I showed people the Magi are the police. They are the military. And I called them turncoats. Now, I'm just joking. But in a sense, I called them turncoats. Because they was fucking up other Nubians and guarding Egyptian lands and Egyptian goods and riding around riding on people. So they were fighting for their colonial masters. They was doing the work for their colonial masters. Just like the Askari was doing the work for their colonial masters in Central Africa, wearing a fez. So this is another time period where the Magi, the police, was doing a work for their colonial masters, the Egyptians. Okay? Let's be clear on that. I just wanted to play that to fuck with Smash. But let's go ahead.
and even Egyptians who serve in the police force were called, by this foreign term. And I'm sure their influence on
Okay, hold on. Now, let me skip forward. Let's get into this now. They threw questions at her, and there were some great questions. Um, this was a little discussion about the Western Desert, right?
states, most humans in Egypt actually live in the Western Desert. States, most humans in Egypt actually live in the Western Desert before the area actually dried up, became, arid and
She's talking about the Green Sahara, not really the Green Sahara, but before Egypt became a nation state in pre-dynastic times. Brother Sirius B asked her a question about the Western Desert, right? And what does she feel the Western Desert is? So listen.
inhospitable. A lot
Now,
of
now, when you say Western Desert, I think this we had someone had a question regarding the Western Desert last night. Well, what area, what geographic area does the Western Desert encompass?
so I
Is
would
it Libya or is it is it farther or?
say close to the modern string of oases in the Western Desert, also in the coastal region area, because there's some limited rainfall. I would say a lot of the actually nomadic Libyans also live in that region, but I would say in these pre-dynastic periods of Egyptian history, the Western Desert area, modern west of the Nile Valley, of Egyptian history, the Western Desert area, modern west of the Nile Valley.
West of the Nile Valley. Listen, people.
They are Egyptian history, the Western Desert area, modern west of the Nile Valley. They are actually more like African savannas. So a lot of wildlife there. And the Egyptians led a nomadic lifestyle, basically chasing after these wild animals, because that's way before they actually adopted the practice of agriculture, which, agricultural revolution happened presumably somewhere in West Asia, in modern day Israel-Palestinian area. So before they West Asia in modern day, agricultural revolution happened presumably somewhere in West Asia in modern day Israel-Palestinian area. So before they were introduced to agriculture, they rely on fishing, hunting, gathering for food. So not settled down permanently. So we actually found a lot of flint tools from the Western Desert, produced by these early human, and sometimes even seasonal huts that they live in. Also, they probably started domesticating animals before they adopted agriculture. So there are also probably evidence for domestication of animals, like animal remains in the Western Desert. So after the Western Desert dried up and became more desert-like, they started moving towards the Nile Valley. And earlier Nile Valley environment is quite different from what we see nowadays. So it was much more marshy, like the different from what we see nowadays. So it was much more marshy, like
No, she said it was much more marshy, right? So I did a video talking about the papyrus plant and how it grew plentiful in the marshes in the delta, right? Just pay attention.
the Delta area. And honestly, not so. It was much more marshy, like the Delta area, and honestly, not very pleasant for human habitation. You imagine the nets of mosquitoes and dangerous hippos and crocodiles, right, lurking in the waters. So there's no advantage, living in those areas.
Pause. Now, let's review this real quick. Where is. Let me come on back. Let's just review that real quick. One second, y'all. One second, y'all. We're going to review that. Where's my map I had up here? This is very important. Hold on, y'all. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, there we go. Here's the map I want to show. Okay, let me come back to y'all. Okay, I found the map. Hold on. Let me share my screen again. Okay, here we go. Let's just go over this Western Desert thing because these guys keep touting this came from the South thing and act like they came up out the green Sahara when it dried up, as if they came all the way from the green Sahara all the way to Uganda and Kenya and Sudan and then all the way up to Egypt. That's a bunch of bullshit, right? Now, when we look at this map, she said the Western Desert is basically cat-a-corner to west of the Nile Valley. You guys know what the Nile Valley is, right? The Nile Valley is from the Delta to Aswan, period. Right? So when we look at the Delta all the way to Aswan, which is, where's Aswan? Way down here. Way down here is Aswan. Now, when you look at the Western Desert, where's the Western Desert? Right here. Right? Catty corner to the Nile Valley. She said, now she didn't say this, but there are oases in the Western Desert, right? Let's just show these oases. There are 5 oases in the Western Desert, right? The Karga Oasis, you guys take notes. Fact check me later. The Karga Oasis is the southernmost oasis. The southernmost oasis. Right? Of what? Egypt's 5 Western Desert oases. Just so you can see and know. It is the, what, here we go right here. The southernmost of Egypt's 5 Western oases in the Western Desert. So it's the one that's furthest south. Let's go see. Let me get this right. There it go, right here. The Karga Oasis. You see where my hand is? Where is that located? Right across from that is Thinis and Abydos in the Nile Valley. This is the southernmost oasis. So, they did not come from the south. They came from the Western Desert going eastward and tapping into the Nile or Nile Valley. Nile Valley is not the whole Nile River. Don't confuse Nile Valley civilization with Nile River civilization. I tried to make this distinction before. Do not confuse the Nile Valley civilization with Nile River civilizations. Right? So the southernmost is the Karga Oasis. It is at best bordering Libya and Sudan. They're not coming from the south, as Reggie was teaching. You just have to get a map so you can orientate yourself to certain places in geography, right? Now, let me do this. This is about the Karga Oasis in the small southern oasis. It's telling you a southern oasis right here, right? So when you go down, I had some of this stuff highlighted. I may have missed it, muffed it up. Hold on. There was a point I was going to make about this. Hold on. Right here it says, the southern part of the western desert of Egypt. Not of the western desert of Sudan or Nubia or Kenya or Uganda or anywhere down there. It's the southern part of the western desert of Egypt. It's because we have to understand this. They're not coming from the south. Now, this is also a guide, the Oasis of the Western Desert Travel Guide. Highlights of Egypt's Western Desert. Not Sudan's, not Uganda's, not Kenya, not Ethiopia, Egypt's Western Desert. Right? Um, I just want to be clear. We have to. There's five, like I said, five oases in the Western Desert. Man, what was the point I was going to make about this? So I'm just talking about geography and where things are located and where people came from. Now, when we look at the map here, I like this map, right? The Nubian Desert is way down there, right? So we have on this map what we call, let me place it. Hold on, I don't mean to bore y'all real quick. There we go. Thinis, which is right here above Abydos, north of Abydos. Thinis is basically central Egypt. Thinis is where Narmer came from. And Narmer unified what? Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, as you see it on the map. They were family. He didn't unify nobody down in Nubia. Family unified with family. Thinis in the first dynasty or dynasty 0 did not come from the south. We have to erase that from our minds. Smash and Reggie were lying. Also, Ankh is wrong about that also. Ankh is trying to give the Nubians credit for being origins of the Egyptian civilization. You guys are wrong about that, and we'll explore that later. She said you guys were wrong. She said there's no consensus on that. And we're going to review it out the horse's mouth. So you need to know that Narmer was from Thinis next to Abydos. That is basically, in general, Central Egypt. When the nation state formed, it didn't form nowhere in Sudan, not even near Aswan. It formed in Central Africa, unifying with Northern Egypt. You have to understand that. It's on the map. Look at it. Now, let's move on. Okay, where do I want to go now? Let's go back to the video.
If you pleasant for if you don't want to do agriculture, and after the drying up of the Western Desert, that majority of them start moving towards the Nile Valley and some in the Delta area, and start settling down, and became heavily influenced, I would say, by the natural environment of the Nile Valley and the worldview of the Egyptians, especially their
Hold on, let me fast forward it.
continuous view, and also I believe the Nile as a waterway, a highway that connected Upper and Lower Egypt, ensure that these early urban centers did not delve into, I would say, independent city-states like what happened in Mesopotamia or Greece. I think from very early on, I think Egypt, once the Greeks burned over Egypt, um, and also I believe the Nile as a waterway, a highway that connected Upper and Lower Egypt, ensure that these early urban centers do not
These are the early urban centers, she said.
into Lower Egypt. Ensure that these early urban centers do not
The early urban centers are nowhere down south. You have to understand what she's saying if you're really listening.
into, I would say, independent city states, like what happened in Mesopotamia or Greece. I think from very early on, I think Egypt.
So let me move on. I'm just going through certain points that kind of sat with me, right? So let's move on. The question was asked: are there discernible remnants of ancient Egyptian culture, practices, or belief present in the modern Egyptian society? So this goes along with that. Are the modern Egyptians the ancient Egyptians? She seems to think so. But let's just go ahead and listen to a few things real quick.
Ancients, right? And in terms of this question, right, are there any discernible or recognizable remnants of the ancient Egyptian cultural practices or beliefs present in the modern Egyptian society?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I think the first thing that comes to mind would be the Coptic language, right? I think the first thing that comes to mind would be the Coptic language, right? It's essential. I think the first thing that comes to mind would be the Coptic language, right?
Okay, let's use some common sense, people. She says the Coptic language. Basically, she's talking about the Coptic people. I told people 2 years ago, I would pay you if you find me a black African who speaks Coptic. No one can do it. The Coptic people aren't black people. Coptic speaking people aren't black people. Let's see. These are Coptic speaking people of the Coptic church who retained the closest thing to the original language. They're not black folk. These are Egyptians. Now, Coptic used to refer to any Egyptian. Coptic referred to any Egyptian, whether you were Christian or Muslim. When Islam came, then they start referring to Coptic more so for just the Christians. But before the establishment of Islam, a Coptic was just simply any Egyptian. I've taught these lessons. These are Coptic people. These are Coptic speaking people. Who are Egypt's Coptic Christians and why are they persecuted? Dr. Banu was telling you the Coptic people were persecuted. Right? They also have Coptic people in Australia. Coptic Australians. In Coptic churches there. What do they look like? Right here. These are the Coptic Australians who went to Australia and live in Australia. They're Egyptians living in Australia. They're not black. This is how they look. Just like the modern day Egyptians. She is co-signing that the modern day Egyptians are the Copts. Or the closest thing. Ancient Egyptians are just like the Copts. This is what Coptic people look like. They're not black. They never been black. These are Coptic speaking people. All you gotta do is look up who are Coptic people, who are the people of the Coptic church, and you won't see your kind nowhere. Okay? You don't have to steal their history and claim they are you? Okay? I just wanted to show you what Coptic people look like. Right now, I just wanted to show you there's a Coptic Orthodox church in Australia. It's a huge Coptic community out there, right? Oops. Okay, so let's move on. Now we know people who speak Coptic, the descendants of the Coptics who still speak the language. I showed you what they look like. They're not black folk. Okay, let's continue.
It's essentially one of the last phases of Egyptian language. Definitely. I think the first thing that comes to mind would be the Coptic language, right? It's essentially one of the last phases of Egyptian language, though it was basically written with Greek alphabet and some demotic signs, but it's probably not spoken by many people nowadays. It's mostly used for church liturgies in the Coptic church, but still it preserves a lot of Egyptian grammar and vocabulary and allowed us to have a better understanding of how the ancient Egyptian language works. And also, I would say the Egyptians nowadays still, a lot of their societal values like respect for the elderly is a few reasons. So basically, they're a lot of them really resonate with a lot of modern Egyptian beliefs. Also resonate, I guess, a lot with Chinese social norms and beliefs.
Listen.
And also, the Egyptians nowadays, I think they celebrate also the beginning of the spring. They celebrate also the beginning of the spring. That festival, they celebrate also the beginning of the spring. That festival is also has ancient Egyptian roots. I would say also they has ancient Egyptian roots. I would say also they also use a lot of amulets roots. That festival is also
Now, the beginning of Spring's festival. What is she talking about? Let's go talk about it. She's talking about sham innocent celebration. Just so you know, this is a celebration of the beginning of the spring, right? It is a national. Oops. The beginning of the spring, as it originates from the ancient Egyptian Samu festival. Right? This is the festival she's talking about. It is a national festival marking the beginning of the spring. It is celebrated by who? Damn, why does it keep doing it? It is celebrated by all Egyptians and is announced by the state as a public holiday. No other people, no Nubians, no Ethiopians, no Eritreans, no Sub-Saharan Africans. Nobody celebrates this festival except the Egyptians. It is a national holiday. This is the cultural continuity she's talking about and things that they've maintained. Right? Now, what's up with these festivals, Chief X? The festival has been nationally celebrated by all Egyptians since ancient times. Let me blow that up so we can make sure we see this. The festival has been nationally celebrated by all the Egyptians since ancient times. Whoever's celebrating that festival now is of the ancient Egyptians. This is what she's low-key telling you. Now, They're eating, and when they doing this festival, Egyptians spend all day out picnicking, right? On the Nile, at the zoo. Traditional foods eaten on this day consist of fasik. It's this fish that's on the walls. This same exact fish is on the walls. A fermented, salted, dry gray mullet, lettuce, scallions, right? Lupin beans. What are lupin beans, Chief X? Let's go see. Lupin bean or lupini are yellow legume seeds of the genus Lupinus. They're traditionally eaten as pickled snack food primarily in the Mediterranean basin by Mediterranean people because what? It's Mediterranean food and North Africa. Not sub-Saharan Africans, not the Sudanese. This is an Egyptian festival, and this is a North African food in a bean that's grown in the Mediterranean area. Lupin is from ancient Egypt. This is a food they're eating in that spring, early spring festival that they're celebrating. No other people on the planet are doing this but them Egyptians, but them Coptics. Understand, I loved this interview. It just backed everything I've been preaching. I'm tooting my own horn now, right? It goes into the history and the distribution, right? You guys can read this on your own. I'm just giving you a brief understanding, right, of this festival. History of in ancient Egypt. The sham, as it was believed by some to have been have first been celebrated by Egyptians during the Pharaonic era, 2700 BC. Okay? Let's be clear. Now, let's get back to some more points she made. Where I want to go next. Oh.
So has ancient Egyptian roots. I would say also they also use a lot of amulets.
Also the amulets. And we're talking about cultural continuity, right? And when I look up about the amulets, as you see here, an amulet, also known as a good luck charm or, is an object believed to confer protection. She spoke of the amulets that would ward off evil spirits or something, she said. I didn't finish playing it, but I'm just letting you know what she said, okay? So when I researched who's the people who had amulets and stuff, mainly in ancient Egypt it started. The use of amulets was widespread among both the living and dead Egyptians. They were used for protection, right? As a mean of reaffirming fundamental fairness of the universe, right? The oldest amulets are found from the pre-dynastic Badarian period, right? Which is not a Nubian period, the Badarian period, right? So I said, interesting. And she had some images of some amulets, right? So I was scrolling down. I was like, I could do any, and they have different cultures who had amulets. I said, not no culture in sub-Saharan Africa have these amulets. But Abrahamic religions brought about things and stuff like that, but no people in sub-Saharan Africa had amulets. It was into that. Let's move on. It's just a little tidbit I was talking. All right. Now, this is an important part she said also.
For protection and think that is also over its.
Listen.
Whenever possible, Egypt tried to establish direct control over its southern neighbor, Lower Nubia, And I think it never made a serious attempt to do that in Syro-Palestinian region
I think she says Syro-Palestinian, which is the same region, Syrio-Palestine, which is an area in the Levant, which is an area in West Asia. She said they made it a point. Let's just hear it again so we won't mistaken.
direct control. Whenever possible, Egypt tried to establish direct control over its southern neighbor,
Whenever possible, Egypt tried to exert control over its southern neighbors, Nubia. Not so much with West Asia, she said, although there were some colonies. But they didn't try to exert domination and control in the way they did over Nubia, was she saying.
tried to establish direct control over its southern neighbor, Lower Nubia. And I think it never made a serious attempt to do that in Syro-Palestinian region. For whatever reason. To the west, the Libyans had a complicated relationship with the Egyptians. They conduct trade with each other, but a lot of times they are perceived as hostile groups by the Egyptians. And to the eastern desert, also nomadic groups living there, sometimes posing threats to mining expeditions sent to the eastern desert by the Egyptians. So from the very beginning of Egyptian history, they have this notion of us versus them. I think this is us versus them. Egyptian history, they have this notion of us versus them. I think this is the same for not only the Egyptians, but also for other, I guess, early humans. The formation of their identity is inseparable from distinguishing them from the others. And
Now, why didn't they as much assert domination over in West Asia? Because they were a same speaking people. They were also Mediterranean people. They've been neighbors for centuries, right? So I had to say, who is this Syrio Palestinian people? Right? Hold on. I think she was saying Syria Palestinian, right? Which was a Roman palace, right? Hold on, hold on. Where am I at? Where was this? Where was this? Let me just say this. I think I don't have the tab up I wanted to show. My bad. But Syria Palestina area is West Asia. It's located in the Levant. Okay? So people in the Levant, people in them areas are related in a sense. They have genetic affinities similar. I wish I had that tab up. I lost that tab. I was going to show y'all something, but maybe I'll do that on another video. My bad. Okay, let's move forward though. What do I want to touch on next? Even, let's just do this right here. What was this, 4714?
be 100% be some bloodshed in the palace. So he abandoned the general, the crown prince.
She's talking about this king who fled to Syria Palestine, right, region. And talking about Asiatic burials, he didn't want to have an Asiatic burial if he died there. But he blended in with the people because he was similar to the people. None of the kings fled to Nubia to seek refuge. They fled to Syria Palestinian area. Let's just listen real quick.
Be some bloodshed in the palace. So he abandoned the general, the crown prince, abandoned the whole Egyptian army and fled to the Syro-Palestinian region. He was Egyptian army and fled to the Syro-Palestinian region. He was accepted by the locals, actually a local chief, recognizing him as an Egyptian, married his daughter to him. So he lived a comfortable life abroad. He started to age, but by the end of his life, even if he had a family abroad, he had children, probably grandchildren, he started to become homesick. He wanted to come back because as he reached the end of his journey, he feared that he might be buried in a foreign land in these Asiatic burial style. And the king actually gave him a royal pardon, saying, come home. I totally understand. You did nothing wrong. And, when you die, you wanted to, be provided with proper mummification ritual
Okay,
with the prime minister.
let's move on from that. Now, another question was asked. What was this question? They were asking, I think Ankh asked this question about the influence of Nubia on early formation of Egypt, right? So let's just go over that.
The head of the Egyptian administration will, advertise his lawful read and write, and also wealth. And
This one is Sosa. Right, so I'll pass it over to you, Sosa.
Okay. Is there a consensus among Egyptologists regarding the influence of Nubia in the early formation of Egyptian civilization? And if so, how is this relationship characterized in the academic discourse?
I would say there are some more accepted views, but I would not say that all Egyptologists necessarily reached a consensus regarding the influence of Nubia. Not say that all Egyptologists necessarily reached a consensus regarding the influence of Nubia. Not say that all Egyptologists necessarily reached a consensus regarding the influence of.
In other words, it's not the consensus that Nubia had anything to do with the formation of early Egypt, of the first dynasty. There's no consensus, is what she was saying. She did go on to say, hey, they had some commercial trade. Right? Let's listen.
But I would not say that all Egyptologists necessarily reached a consensus regarding the influence of Nubia in the formation of Egyptian state. But these two cultures have been in contact since before the formation of the pharaonic state. And some of these contacts are peaceful, like trading. There are Egyptian legues found in the burials of a lot of these earlier Nubian rulers, and Egyptian legues found in the burials of a lot of these earlier Nubian rulers, and of course Nubian goods, used for the production of Egyptian artifacts. And there are recorded contacts between the Egyptians and Nubians in the Old Kingdom period, but specifically we're talking about the formation of Egyptian state in the first and second dynasty period. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of evidence. In the first and second dynasty period, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of evidence. In the first and second dynasty period, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of evidence.
She's letting you down nicely. There's not really no evidence on that shit. Oh, no Nubians forming early Egyptian dynasties. There's really no evidence, she's trying to tell you. She's trying to let you down lightly.
There are some rock arts found in Nubia, probably documenting some military conflicts between these early Egyptian kings and the local Nubians, were also ruled by individuals. These early Egyptian, probably documenting some military conflicts between these early
military conflicts. I told you and showed you that Narmer, once he unified Upper and Lower Egypt, he made a U-turn and started banging on the Nubians and snatching up gold and doing things and commercial trade, and you know what I mean? They're getting it ready. They wanted that gold, and they wanted certain luxury goods. Let's go.
early Egyptian kings and the local Nubians were also ruled by individual rulers. But unfortunately, other than that, we just don't have a lot of contemporary sources. Unfortunately, other than that, we just don't have a lot of contemporary sources. Unfortunately, other than that, we just don't have a lot of contemporary sources on their respective influence on each other, I would say.
There's really no sources. There's no evidence, she's trying to tell you. Egyptians didn't need no help in early formation. They didn't need no other nation, nor other people to help them do a motherfucking thing. Nubia did not influence early Egypt except by doing commercial trade and running them goods.
But there are also a lot of interesting exchange of artistic motifs between these two cultures. Like in a lot of Nubian art, like the Kustal incense burner, we found the serech motif, which is ultimately originally from ancient Mesopotamia, and serech motif, which is ultimately originally from ancient Mesopotamia. Nubian art, like the Kustal incense burner, we found the serech motif, which is ultimately originally from ancient Mesopotamia. And
Pause! I told you niggas that a lot of the Narmer's palette and a lot of that stuff was influence of Mesopotamia. She said the same thing. The Quetzal incense burner. She basically alluded to that came around from some kind of trade or some commercial business, and when people were visiting, she said earlier that they left the Nubians had some Egyptian artifacts in their where they were buried.
travel Kustal incense burner, we found the serech motif, which is ultimately originally from ancient Mesopotamia, and motif, which is ultimately originally from ancient Mesopotamia, and it would travel far across the.
Okay, I won't speak in absolutes. I'm just reading some comments. I just looked. I won't be. Let me come down. I won't speak in absolutes, but just in general, it's some early proto hieroglyphics on the incense burner. Those are Egyptian, or it's like some Mesopotamian symbolism. Okay.
Missionary used to reach Egypt was adopted by the Egyptian pharaohs to decorate the walls of their palaces, to encircle their Horus names. But it was also found on Nubian objects, which is fascinating. But it was also found on Nubian objects, which is fascinating. But it was also found on Nubian objects, which is fascinating.
She's saying it's kind of strange. I mean, it's not normal, is what she's saying. Okay, so let me just continue.
You mentioned in our first meeting that we had that there was a theory. I think you mentioned. I think his name was Bruce Williams, about the Nubian origin. This was his theory about the Nubian origins of ancient Egypt. Can you sort of elaborate on that particular theory that you described, and where it sits in terms of the consensus of around modern Egyptology?
Yeah, I have to admit that I haven't done a follow-up research on that theory, but I have to say, for the minimum, that it was a very controversial hypothesis. For the minimum, that it was a very controversial hypothesis. For the minimum, that it was a very controversial hypothesis.
She's letting you down lightly.
And there's no strong evidence for that proposal. And there's no strong evidence for that proposal. And there's no strong evidence for that proposal. So he, I think, basically argued that the origin of Egyptian kingship is from Nubia. And I think he probably actually used the Kustal incense burner to support that. So he, I think, basically argued that the origin of Egyptian kingship is from Nubia. And I think he probably actually used the Kustal incense burner to support that.
Yep. Afrocentrics love using the Quetzal incense burner to try to support the evidence that the Nubians helped form Egyptian civilization. She's basically telling you there's no evidence for that. It's not the consensus. This is what she's saying. You guys have to stop saying they came from the south. You guys have to stop saying Nubians helped form Egyptian civilization. You guys have to cut that all out now.
Evidence. So Nubians who actually use the Kustal incense burner to support that evidence. So Nubians who live in Lower Nubia during that period of Egyptian history is the A group people. So we know about their culture mostly from funerary goods, so their burials. and at I think two main burial sites. And the burial goods, found in these tombs definitely attest to commercial contacts. Burial goods, found in these tombs definitely attest to commercial contacts. Burial goods, found in these tombs definitely attest to commercial contacts between.
That means trade, exchanging things, whether ideas or art. The Nubians didn't write to the Meroitic period. All the proto hieroglyphics stuff you see on the is Egyptian.
Between these two cultures and exchange of ideas, probably artistic motifs. But I don't think they tell us much about the relationship between the political elites during this early period of Egyptian history. But we do know that they do have some sort of diplomatic contact in late Old Kingdom period, because in the autobiography of Harkuf, this Egyptian official, he did mention that he brought a donkey caravan to Nubia, and he run into some of these local rulers who are actually fighting against each other. So we know that Nubia was not politically unified during that period. Nubia was not politically unified during that period. Nubia was not politically unified during that period.
Now, during that period, Egypt was unified at this time she's talking about. Nubia wasn't, she's saying. It's not going to be a unorganized, ununified people jumping off Egyptians' unification or early Egyptian period. They were warring with each other in Nubia at this time, she's saying.
So that situation, I would say, is comparable to the situation in Egypt before the unification of the country. And he actually did trade with these local rulers. He brought them gifts, and the ruler actually provided him with military escort on his way back.
All right, cool. All right. So the next one is for me. I'm sorry, Unc, you had something to add to that?
I was wondering, did I miss my cue when I think I was supposed to ask about when we was talking about the state formation.
Ankh really wants the Nubians to be part of the state formation of Egypt. That's just something Ankh, you're just wrong about that. You have to give that up, Ankh. Peace to you, bro, but you have to give that up.
What would you say the field would be at, and as far as being a multi-regional development of the Egyptian state, or one single region, in particular Nubia? We hear a lot of times that the state was formed in Nubia and pushed down the Nile towards the Mediterranean. So what is more clear based off of the evidence? Multi-regional or one pocket, one culture moving? And what would you say?
I would say in pre-dynastic period, the political situation in Egypt was similar to what we see in Nubia. In late Old Kingdom, there are multiple political centers with ruling elites based at places like Nagada, Hierakonpolis, probably also Al-Kab or Abydos. And then it was debated whether the elites from Hierakonpolis or Abydos eventually managed to unify Upper Egypt and then push their influence further north. And we have actually found large-scale elite burials at multiple of these sites, especially Hierakonpolis. I think a lot of Egyptologists...
We're almost done. This is the last part I'm going to play. Hold on, y'all.
They're of the opinion that these elites, through both war, violence, and making of alliance with these other elites, they managed to pull their sources together and establish basically a proto-state encompassing the whole of Upper Egypt. And then they managed to defeat those local leaders, rulers in Lower Egypt, and managed to unify Egypt eventually. So most evidence we have from this period are those violent battle scenes on ceremonial palettes. So a lot
the battle scenes on ceremonial palettes. Like, I don't know if it's enormous palettes, there's a few other palettes. where they have these battle scenes. Ngozi explained that good one time.
Of them are, of course, found in the context of temples. They're not necessarily historical documents. They are probably reinterpretations of real historical events. So we need to really exercise caution. We're trying to rely on these, and we're trying to reconstruct the history of early Egypt. So they are very suggestive of the use of
This is her summary. Here goes her summary. Hold on.
violence. Series of enemies were killed.
Okay.
Right, awesome.
Nothing could be said with
Here goes her summary.
enemies were killed. Nothing could be said with certainty, unfortunately. Nothing could be said with certainty, unfortunately.
Okay.
In other words, there's not much evidence. We just let her. She letting you down softly again.
Right, awesome. Next questions for me, and I think
Okay, this is the last question and last point I want to show. And I'm gonna come back to y'all. Hold on.
kind of hinted on the answer, or you kind of hinted on this in some of the previous questions. But I'll go ahead and ask this one: is how do contemporary Egyptologists approach the study of the phenotypical characteristics of the ancient Egyptian population, and what methodologies are employed in this aspect of research? Right, because I've always seen where okay, well, in terms of like examining like mummies or remains, it's very difficult to analyze soft tissue because of their environment, right? So how do you guys actually determine or analyze the phenotypical pieces, right? In terms of how they look, how the ancient Egyptians look.
Yeah, so we use
Now pause. It's. Let me just get to the bottom line and answer what she's trying to say about phenotype. Hold on. Let's just get it right here. Let me move forward a few minutes. Here we go.
Because they're very highly trained eyes, and kings, because they're very highly trained eyes, and some of the New Kingdom pharaohs also have very prominent facial features, very distinguishable facial features, like the Ramesside royal family, like Ramesses II and Seti I. They have a very prominent, like aquiline nose that is very characteristic of their family, males in their family. That is very first. They have a very prominent, like aquiline nose that is very characteristic. A very prominent, like aquiline nose that is very characteristic of their prominent, like aquiline nose that is very characteristic of their family, males in their family. Yeah.
Now, mind you, she's a New Kingdom specialist. Who's the New Kingdom she's talking about? Who are these alkaline nose people? The Royal Armana family in the New Kingdom. King Tut, Queen T, Yuya, Thuya, right? Let's go. What is an alkaline feature? Let's just go see. This is an image of what she's saying is an alkaline feature. Right? Let's go back. Let's read. Some writers in the field of racial typology have attributed alkaline noses as the characteristics of different people or races. According to this anthropologist, found amongst members of the Arabid race, right? It is often seen in the Mediterranean race. What? It is also seen in the Mediterranean race. What? It is also seen in the Mediterranean race and the Dinard race, right? Okay, so something else I wanted to read here. Talking about among Native Americans. Where is this point I want? Hold on, let me go back to my notes. Where was it? Where was it? Okay, here we go, right here. Among populations in Africa, the alkaline nose feature or alkaline features, right? Here on the right, we have Mummy, Pharaoh, and the father of Merneptah, Ramses II, with an alkaline hook nose. And as you see, look at his hair. Look at his nose shape. It's alkaline, right? Among populations in Africa, let me blow this up so we can all read. The flat, broad nose is ubiquitous among populations in sub-Saharan Africa and is noted by 19th century writers and travelers such as such and such as a mark of Negroid ancestry. I have Negroid ancestry. I don't have a problem with the word, right? It stands in opposition to the narrow alkaline or straight noses. So Negro features are in opposition to the narrow, alkaline, straight, or convex noses. I'm not talking about people in the Horn of Africa. We know they're a little different. Which are instead deemed Caucasian. This is what she said about the phenotype when the question was asked. Not Chief X. The expert said this. Right? According to craniometric analysis by Carlton Kuhn, alkaline noses in Africa are largely restricted to populations from North Africa. And what else? The Horn of Africa. Say it again. Alkaline noses in Africa are largely restricted to populations from North Africa and the Horn of Africa. Get over it, people. In contrast to those of sub-Saharan Africa, which are more generally peopled by the people by those of Semitic, Arab, and non-Negroid descent. Okay? I just had to point that point out. When we talked, and when he asked the question about phenotype, this is what she went to. Okay, now at the end of her thing, you guys asked the question of what books or what can we read, and she gave 3 sources. Right? This was one. I just wanted to show you guys this. You guys can write this down. This whole book is online, 1 through 620 pages. She recommended this book, The Literature of Ancient Egypt. So if you guys Google this, it'll pop up and you can read this whole book online. And it's 620 pages. You can just read this whole book. It's free for you. She said if there was one book that she would recommend for a newbie or beginner, it was this book. So you guys can write this down and check it out yourself. The Literature of Ancient Egypt. I forget who the author is. Edited with an introduction by William Kelly Simpson, right? Now, it was one more little last thing she said. I think this is at the 2-minute part. Let me just get to it.
Church as an example. I think title. And in terms of cultural continuity, I think, again, I will be using the Coptic Church as an example, but I think, again, I will be using the Coptic Church as an example, but I think, again, I will be using the Coptic Church as an example, but...
Yeah, in terms of cultural continuity, she will again be using the Coptic Church. Now, that's the end of this. But let me just show you again, in case you forgot, these are Coptic people. These are Coptic speaking people. This is a Coptic man. Where's that? Here we go. These are Coptic speaking people of the Coptic Church. They get the cultural continuity. Not Nubians, not no sub-Saharan Africans, the Coptics Are we clear, people? How y'all doing? Hold on. I gotta pay the water bill. I gotta take a piss. Don't move. Oh, God, that felt good. God damn. I'm matching today. Look, I'm matching. But look, I got the green and black shoes on, Adidas. Let me read a few comments. What's up with y'all? Let me just do this. Hold on one second. Let me throw the invite link in case somebody just want to come on or something real quick. But I'm not gonna be here long. What's up, Brendan? Hey man, good looking out, Brendan and Pseudo Killers, y'all, for interviewing that lady. I put the link in the chat if somebody wanted to come on and say something. But I pinned it, right? But good looking out, Brendan, with that interview, man. I appreciate it. She was a lovely lady. She's a nice lady. She was a very knowledgeable lady. So if Dr. Rebecca Wang is listening, shout out to you. Come on back. We would love to have you. And we will not be putting people on the panel no more like G. Laquan and embarrassing ourselves. You know what I mean? We want to keep the level high. You know what I mean? We don't want to bring the level down. I'm so pissed at y'all for bringing G. Laquan on the after show. Don't do that shit no more, y'all. Don't you guys? We have to stop bringing these niggas with mental health issues on our panels. It hurts me. It hurts my soul. You don't have to bring people on like you don't want to be the like uh um what's the saying? If you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. You don't want to be bringing a bunch of vagrants around you, right? Like on Facebook, I got 5,000 Facebook friends. But how I built up my friends on Facebook is if I'm reading a post and it's some bomb and something intelligent said, or someone that made an intelligent comment or response, I'll request that person. I request anything of intelligence because I want to be close to and next to intelligent people. Therefore, I get more smarter. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, what you say, Astro? Brendan's a good interview. Yes, he was a good interviewer. He did a great job. Right? Let me read some comments though. Um, Let me read some comments. Jamion Smith is here. 1 second, Jamion. How's it going, bro? Can you
Sir.
hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good.
How did you watch the interview that
Yep,
Pseudo Killers
yep,
had?
yep.
Did
I
you watch
watched
my
the
whole little spiel right here?
yep. And then
Which
also I watched the last week when Jabari was on Sonetter and he was giving his take on your he was trying to contradict your points that he had. And I just was watching that and I came on at the end or I came on at the beginning of it because Sonetter started the live. And I wanted to get on there so bad so I can contradict everything he was saying in his whole presentation because he didn't address anything you were saying. Like how you said when you came on at the end, he didn't address not one thing.
he
And
didn't.
it was embarrassing, honestly, because when you look at Jabari, he's a professor, right?
Well, he says he
But,
is. Yeah, I think he
yeah.
teaches some little
Or
class.
well, does he have a degree? I mean, I know he
I think
has
he has
like
a degree in Africana studies.
okay, okay. So
I'll give him the professor title.
right, right. So I did the same, and I was watching that presentation, and I didn't know if it was like him just so against you, or if he's just trying to maintain like a cult. Maybe I don't know. Like it seems like it's a cult. Like you always say, I watch your show a lot, so I know you mentioned like the modern Egyptians, like the African Americans here in America. We are very like occultic when it comes to ancient Egypt,
Right.
and I don't know. It was just embarrassing to watch that and how he tried to contradict your points with just basically saying that you were claiming that the ancient Egyptians were not black because he said that the Egyptians were at war with Nubia, as if that was your only point, or if that was even a point you even made. It was just embarrassing to see. But what did you think overall about
Well, I
I know
got
that he gave his opinion, but he didn't let you speak.
I got. He was trying hard not to let me speak.
Right.
Now I got several phone calls after that, and
Yeah.
sometimes and other people were saying that was one of his worst presentations that he did. Right.
Mhm.
A couple of people was like Chief X and Ngozi had him rattled,
Yeah.
which I think he was a little rattled, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a hard my when I did my presentation on sonnetters, the whole for 3 days I was leading up to it and I was doing a little set. I said, whatever I present, I'm gonna make sure I prove. There's no one is gonna be able to refute any point I make on this. I knew it. So I said it's gonna be hard for Guard Jabari to try to refute the things I said, and
Yeah.
I knew people are gonna have to not address my video and bring up some other shit, and
Exactly.
that's exactly what people have been doing.
And that's
Like
exactly,
like
yeah, you did
it's
say
a lot
that
of
too.
videos. Like even this video, I can go line for line. I want to play people's word and then debunk it. Do
Yeah.
that with me. If I said something wrong, play my words and then show you correcting me. But people never do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just thought it was one of his poorest performances. I
Yeah.
think he was rattled like he's never been rattled before. This is just my opinion. And he just didn't look too good. So Jabari has this, these group of people he has a shrine with. So he's
Yeah.
trying to save face, man.
Yeah.
That black debunking Black Egypt is a powerful thing that got people just going erratic and crazy. Because a lot of people's whole, what do you call it? Their whole brand is based off of Black Egypt.
Yeah.
If that goes, everything they said over the last 20 years goes. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And that just goes back to the whole having a bandwagon, if you will, to try to like, I don't know if they're making money from this Egypt, like Black Egypt stuff or not, but it just seems like it. It just seems like they're trying to keep a fan base that maybe are just keeping their bills paid. It just seems I don't see the motivation, because I like your opinion on how you say you're supposed to keep our tradition alive with well, not even our tradition, but just represent or just recognizing that we are Western Africans, as in we come from Angola mostly. Like that's where most of our population was taken from. And when you look up the Angolan people today, you can just do a simple Google search. They're like the most beautiful people in Africa. And I just don't see like why you would want to, why you feel so, they would feel so, how would you say, like, they're just not as confident because they feel like they need to attach themselves to something that was, great in Africa once. And I guess it's just a confidence thing. That's the only thing I can attribute it to. It just feels like you're trying to attach yourself to something so grand because you have low self-esteem. Maybe I don't know.
You've been
It's just
subscribed to me for a while?
yes, sir.
Okay, cool, cool.
And I've been,
Where you from? Where you live at?
I live in Atlanta, Georgia, but I,
Okay,
I,
cool.
I came down here from Ohio, so that's why you won't hear no sling, no Atlanta sling.
Ohio, Midway.
Right? Yeah,
You know what? Piggyback off this, J-Man Smith.
yeah. Just Jay.
Huh?
Just call me Jay because people can't pronounce the name. It's Jaymon.
J-Man, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So Jay, this is what I had to realize with the conscious community, and
Hmm.
I said, you know what? Here's the thing. African Americans or conscious community people, I had to realize, is really not into history.
Right.
And people, that's strange when I say that because they say it's kind of that's all we no. They're not really into history.
Yeah.
They're only into things that glorify us in history,
Yeah.
or things that they think glorify us in history. So they'll talk about things like we're the ancient Egyptians and we're the because it's all about being in competition with white folk for morality and achievements. This is
Exactly.
what it deep down is.
Yeah.
Like we'll say we're the Moors. We taught white folk how to bathe. You get what I'm saying? To them in their mind, they're putting down white folk and
Yeah.
they're trying to uplift themselves over white folk because they're in competition with white folk for achievements and for morality. This is
Right.
what it's all about
Right.
deep down inside. I got to compete with white folk for morality and achievements in history. So we only care about stuff that glorifies us. We don't care
Exactly.
about basic history. Like when I used to talk about the slave trade, slavery in Africa, and how indigenous slavery was real, right?
Yeah.
People got pissed off. I brought this book back from Ghana that I bought from Ghanaians. That this lady who wrote this book is a professor at Ghana University. Black folk was pissed. They didn't want to talk about this history because it wasn't glorifying us.
Right.
And they got pissed about this book. I remember when I left the airport, when I was left Ghana to come home, I was in the airport sitting down. I took a picture with me in this book. I didn't even talk about it yet, and they was pissed at the picture. It's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
So I have to remind people, like, look, it's okay.
Yeah.
We Ghana's underdeveloped. It's fine. There's underdeveloped countries. There's poor people. There's poverty all around the world. The
Right.
Native
Right.
Americans they didn't write. The people in Southeast Asia didn't write. It's poverty. It's poverty all in Australia. It's poverty all in South America. It's poor people, underdeveloped people everywhere, all through Brazil and the Amazon. Just poverty and poor people. It's okay.
Yeah.
We can still be proud of who we are, right?
Exactly.
And I want to make this clear though too, because people think humans are 99.9% alike. It's not like we're dumber than anyone else.
Exactly.
We're innately all the same. It's just other people in geographical other areas had other influences that we may not have had,
Yeah.
right? So they may have been influenced to, and their ideology grew. Like in the Mediterranean area and in the Mediterranean world, they did a lot of trade and business and influence ideas and things like that. So they advanced because they had so much influence around each other. Sub-Saharan Africa was kind of landlocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't vibe with other people and get influence like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you can take somebody out of that poverty, underdeveloped area and place them in a developed area in schools with brilliant people, and we can thrive.
Right.
So innately we're all the same. It just we
Yeah.
just weren't influenced like others were influenced. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, because if you look at how civilized most ancient civilizations even begin, such as Egypt or ancient China, they normally develop around rivers,
Hmm.
and the reason why is because that's where tribes will move to try to gain water where it was probably like that's the most clean water you can get. So you get different tribes coming to the same river. That's where you would start to begin trade with different type of ideas and different type of cultures that you were not aware of before. and you bring these different tribes together and they start bringing these different ideas, you get to have this um, expansion of knowledge, if you will. So you can look at the Yellow River in China. You can look at what's the river in where ancient the where
Niger.
Mesopotamia, where Mesopotamia.
Oh, you talking about like Euphrates and
Yeah, yeah,
mhm.
exactly. So
Tigris, Euphrates. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. Where these are where the beginnings of ancient civilization began, and it's the reason why is just it's just a natural phenomenon to for people to just be attracted to where water is, you know, and then it's specifically a river where you would normally find like the creatures that you will hunt, and that would just that would naturally bring these tribes closer to where these rivers are. And it's just like it's just natural history. That's how I look at things. It's a natural explanation for a lot of things that went on in those in the ancient times, and I don't see them as anybody special just because they were able to, you know, make their culture so advanced to build pyramids or build buildings or have writing systems or um, you know, the primitive versions of money, because most of our stocks used to have a barter system. Still, we didn't really get to develop our money until, you know, we got in contact with the Europeans. But it's just natural history. That's how I look at it. But what before I get off though, I wanted to ask you.
Before you ask that, somebody asked me, "You be riding that bicycle?" I got the bike right here. Yeah, I used to. I haven't rode in over a year, but I'm gonna get back on it. But it was a black cycling group. You know how you see some people cycling
Yeah,
and working out together in this group. You know, these are
yeah,
road bikes. That's a nice, expensive bike, whether people know it or not. But I used to ride with a group of black cyclers, all professional cats, and I used to network with them. It was just a very cool group, and we used to do 20-mile rides, 30-mile rides, and be gone. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'm gonna get back into it probably this summer, but I got to get back in shape because I'm out of shape now. But go ahead, bro.
I was going to ask you how you feel about the, you know, because you a lot of times you debunk the New Kingdom. How you feel about the Afrocentrists clinging to, well, the origins of Egypt were started by, you know, sub-Saharan Africans, because you know you have Khufu and Djoser built the step pyramid. How do you respond to those who cling to the origins of Egypt and claim that sub-Saharan Africans are the reason why Egypt even began in the first place? Like, what would you say to those?
I addressed that in this presentation a little bit, but just let me rehash and bring up another point.
Okay.
Because just 3 days ago, I said, let me double check to make sure I'm right. Because people argued me down when I said this maybe a few years ago. I typed in what is the oldest structures in Egypt,
Hmm.
and it was the not the Pyramid of Giza, um, the Step Pyramid,
Hmm.
and the Sphinx was second. They had like a 200-year difference, and I said both of these uh, 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 um, structures are near the delta. They're what would be called northern Egypt, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So if the Sphinx is not too far from or close to the Mediterranean, then that means more than likely Mediterranean people built it, right?
More than
So
likely.
the oldest structures are not down south;
Yeah.
they're in the north.
Yeah. Yeah.
So northern people built them, or just people of Egyptian descent or Mediterranean people must have built them.
Right.
And you don't see none of these structures nowhere in the
Anywhere
south.
else. South. Yeah,
Nowhere in the
exactly.
south. They're
Exactly.
in northern Egypt.
Yeah.
You
And I
know?
brought that up to brother Reggie the night that you were going to have that debate, or when Jabari did his presentation. Brother Reggie was on first, and that's when that guy You had responded to him in the chat. I saw you in the chat, but his name was Thought or something like that. The young guy. He was the young guy talking to Brother Reggie at the time, and you called him a liar. You said he was lying through his teeth because he was
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but I know you, man. I said he's a
yeah,
habitual liar.
because he was talking about he was in the Moors and everything. But yeah, I had went on there and brought that up to Reggie, and he didn't have no answer. He didn't have a clear answer for that. But yeah, I just I'm just glad I got a chance to speak to you about this though, because I've been a subscriber for a long time. So,
I appreciate the support, man, and subscribing. I appreciate you watching. Somebody said, "Oh, my brother has an alkaline nose, so you're wrong, Chief." You got to realize we're here in America now. We're admixed. We got that European in us.
right,
My hair is nappy as heck,
right,
but or kinky. I mean, people have a problem with nappy and kinky words. But my lady friend, who is 86% sub-Saharan Africa, her hair is kind of loose, curly.
right,
But that's just because she has a European ancestor.
right.
But when I went to Ghana, 100% was kinky. But here, have a little different texture just because we're admixed with European. We got the white boy in us. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
And people love to ignore averages for some reason. I don't know. They always want to point out the one-off.
Right.
But appreciate it. I'll see you on your next presentation, next live you have, sir.
I might go live later tonight because I wanted to do a presentation. I'm gonna just give up the topic now
Okay.
because I was reading a story
Mm-hmm.
and I never knew this until like a couple months ago. I said, let me dig further, and I've been digging further over the last few months. I had no clue. Remember Liberia opened up to African Americans back in the day, and some people went back to Africa,
Yep. Yep.
and they went to Liberia. I had no clue that Black Americans who went to Liberia began to enslave the indigenous people in
What?
Liberia. It's crazy. I said, what? I said, we went over there acting just like the white man and enslaved the indigenous people in Liberia as Black Americans. They was on our plantations, and it's like we was just like the white boy. People
Yeah.
don't even know about that history. Like you said, what?
I did
But I
not know
may
that.
tonight do a presentation on it just to give another topic for people to talk
Yeah, I
about.
gotta. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be in the comments
It's
for
crazy. I'm like, we went over there enslaving them Africans and shit. It's crazy, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be in tune with that one for sure.
Yeah, so tune in tonight. I might do that tonight.
All right.
I'm a 75% chance I'll do it tonight in case I just get lazy.
All right. Well, you
But I
have a good day,
appreciate
sir.
you, man.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
What's up, Chief X? How you doing?
Hey, I didn't know who the heck this was. I said, who the hell is Amir Sahel? The Sahel.
Hey,
What's
bro.
up?
Hey, you did an excellent job, showing and proving. This is great that you did this, and I'm definitely looking forward towards what the Liberian or the Amerigos did when they went over there. They just didn't enslave those people. They were slaughtering them.
Man,
So I'm glad you.
Amir, you knew about this?
Absolutely, absolutely. The Amerigos was bullies in Liberia.
And
Absolutely.
this is what I mean by black folk only want to talk about stuff that glorifies them in history. I wonder why nobody in the conscious community ever talked about this topic. But go ahead, Amir. What you say about it?
Because they have to save face. They want black Africans to seem like we were just always this innocent people are always running. Either we running from Israel or we running out of Egypt to get to West Africa. But that's not a reality. So no, those people that went back over there, those Amerigos, they were bullies in Liberia. They was bullies. You look up the cool people and the different groups of people that's over there, they still don't respect the Amerigos. And the Amerigos is still the elite in Liberia. Look at the flag. It's a remnant of the American flag.
Wow, they was over there acting uppity and shit, and like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of reality, man. It is what it is. And I'm glad you brought up I'm glad the lady brought up the Mesopotamian component that did influence Egypt. But some people were saying it's Sumerian. It's not Sumerian. It's something related in between, like Proto-Ubaids that start to drift back towards Egypt, what we can classify as Neolithic Holocene people. But it still they still shared affinity with populations in Sumer because the Sumerians conquered Ur. The Proto-Ubaids started to disperse. So it wasn't a direct link, but they really started going through North Sudan and Upper Egypt first. And then even in Upper Egypt at one time, in Lower Egypt, you start to see those monuments, like you say, in the Mediterranean. So that's actually dope.
Remember, she brought up that on some of those early
The, pa-
palettes,
the yeah, the
and they had
Jebel of,
war scenes and stuff.
yeah, the Jebel Iraq knife. That individual on the Jebel Iraq knife in between the two lions. You can find that symbol in Mesopotamia. Um, the supper parts, the creature with the two long necks, you can find that creature in Mesopotamia. And on the battles palette, it's something called the battles palette. You see these men with feathers on their head with aquiline features like narrow noses, domesticating the environment. So you and that's way before Narma. So it was a lot going on in Egypt before the inception of a dynastic period. I'm talking about even in the Nakata period, they had changes going on. It was a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. It's
But
crazy.
Chief X, you did your thing. I'm definitely gonna listen to your show in Liberia today. And I'm gonna jump on. I'm gonna show myself when you start asking questions. Later on tonight, if you do it, I'll just jump on whenever you let us on.
Hey, somebody in the chat said, manual testing said, Dr. Blue, I never knew about this Acellar man. Very interesting. Concert community don't never talk about Acellar man. Why you think that is, Ngozi?
A Schiller man is the beginning phase of our morphology that's typical to tropical adapted Africans, and he starts it or arise around 10,000 years ago. So a lot of people don't like to talk about it because they
It make
believe
us
it's a
seem
true
younger, I would think.
in morphology. Yes, all human beings are the same because we're the same species, same age. But in morphology, we do have later derived traits. We have later derived traits. Just like if you look up Jabala Hud, found in Morocco, his dental mold, his teeth, the molar was closer to European children. Most sub-Saharan Africans have larger teeth because of the larger gain that they accumulated. So we have prognathism or protruding mandibular. So a lot of that is later derived.
That tickles me every time you say that. Say it again. We have what? Prognosticism and what?
And a protruding mandibular. You know what I'm saying? It kind of protrudes out, but that's later derived, and that's okay. I mean, it's a lot of fusion and fission that appeared. I mean, that happened, even with us in tropical Africa, because you see that same morphology in the people in Jebel Sahaba. So it's something that developed in that Sahelian zone of Africa, because you can see it all through there in different spots and periods.
It's Denisovin gang right here, nigga. Denisovin gang.
It's a unique thing, man. I mean, nature allowed us to have our features that's beneficial to us and our environment. North Africans didn't really never have those features. If you go back 30 something thousand years with Naslet Carter, he had intermediate features. So you got to be very cautious of that. He looked nothing like the later derived features that other people accumulated through time. I mean, here's my thing, Chief X, and I know some people don't believe in evolution, but we're just stubborn apes, or we're just great apes bound by stubborn mutations. A type of great ape bound by stubborn mutations. That's all we are.
Hey, Ngozi, one thing I wanted to ask you. Like when I'm looking at my map here of Saudi Arabia, do you consider Yemen part of Saudi Arabia or is that different?
Yemen is south of Arabia. It's part of Southwest Asia still, but it's south of Arabia. No, it's not Saudi Arabia, but it's south of Arabia. You go south of the Medina on your map, and you go south of Arabia, you end up in Yemen. And you go further down past Yemen, you end up on an island called Socotra.
Okay, so right there on the tip of Yemen is really close to what we call Djibouti or Eritrea,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So in ancient times, do you think people were migrating from Yemen to Djibouti area into the Horn?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Habesha, the Ethiopian speakers that we know as the Habesha, who write in Giz, they are mixed with the Sabians, and the Sabians. They start going backwards and forth from the Horn of Africa near Eritrea to Yemen, probably starting at 3,500 to 3,200 years ago. So you had the Sabians who was merging with the Damat, merging backwards and forward for a very long time. And the Habesha speaking Ethiopians speak a Semitic language, what they classify as Ethio-Semitic. So and that language is very close to the Sabian script that you found. So yeah, they was going backwards and forth for a long.
So
They
you're
was going
saying Sabians are another word for Yemens?
Yeah, they were Yemenis people. When you get
Okay.
the story for those who believe in the story of Queen of Sheba or mythical Sheba, whatever you want to call it, for those that believe in it. Um, she was from Yemen, but
Hmm.
Afrocentrics try to put her in Ethiopia. But no, she was from
Okay.
Yemen.
Okay. I never knew that. Okay.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, having a map is very important. Like when you talk about history and you got a map in front of you, it makes a little more sense because you can see geographical areas. You get what I'm saying?
absolutely. If we can stop being biased and really follow the trail of human migration, most people are going to fall in line or have certain signatures genetically with populations that they're close to by proxy. So, for example, when you go to the Horn of Africa, the Ethiopians are going to share affinities with Yemenis people. When you go south of the Sahara, where they close to touching next to the Sahel, those Amazigh people are going to have some affinities with populations of that Saheliot, like Fulani and Mindi. When you touch the Fulani in the beginning, they have some Amazigh DNA in them until they go deeper in. So if you touch the Mediterranean in North Africa, those people are going to have high affinities with populations on the other side of the Mediterranean, Southern Europe. So most people are going to share affinities based off the location that they're in, and it's been going on for a very long time. You know,
Hmm.
just like when you
So,
go to Yemen, some of them got a small smidget of some Horner DNA in them. It's been going backwards and forth, but they're not majority of that. It's just smidgets of it because they've been going in and out.
you see with this got the statement on the screen? Can you see?
Yeah, he says Ewa Eleru, what do you say? Ele Eleru, almost the same as a Siller man. Yes, Ele Eleru is more of that morphology that they found in Nigeria. He is closer to, if you look at the top of the skull, and you can do this, the person that put that out there, if you look at the piece of the skull looks like Jebel Ahud skull that was found in Morocco.
And
That's
real
how art.
quick though, real
Mhm.
quick, isn't the how you pronounce it Iwo Aluru?
Yeah, Ewa Eleru. He was found in
Isn't
Nigeria.
I was just reading the article. It's strange that he said I was reading the article and they're the one I guess supposedly have high amounts of denisophine or this ghost gene. Somebody
Yeah,
said like 17%.
yeah, well, the modern day Mandinka, their ghost population or the ghost gene in West Africans range from 2 to 19%. So the Mandinka can range between 13 to 19% of it, and the Yoruba has up 2 to 6%. It's based off region. But this ghost population, it's not, some people, like, you got to be very cautious because it's postulated. Some people believe that it's something close to Homo heidelbergensis, like Homo rhodesian man, which is the intermediate between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens that split off 600,000 years ago. But in a later article based off Tishkoff, she said, and a few others, that it's an early phase of archaic Homo sapiens. So that means that whatever this is, it's close to what was found in Morocco, Jebel Ahud. If you look at Ewu Eleru skull, the top of the
Hmm.
skull looks very similar to Jebel Ahud in Morocco. So the thing about a Sillerman, I'm sure he had some of that archaic Homo sapien DNA in him, which could be classified as ghost population, because when they started to go west, that's all that was down at one time. But we have to also think about, where did this haplogroup E come from that sub-Saharan Africans have? They came from populations who some people like to say came from Eurasians. Not, I don't say that. It came from a population of ancestral North Africans, primarily Kefian type people that drift down there, mixed with populations who was already inbred with ghost population and East African hunter gatherers that fused and became this unique cluster that we see that start to form this thing called a Suleiman. And it starts to merge all through the Sahel. It gets tricky.
Can you see these books I have right here?
Oh yeah.
I bought these last year. I haven't even read them yet. I can't wait to read them. I don't. I just been lazy. But I was reading about this Livingston guy. It's a popular quote. Livingston. Uh, uh, what is this? What did they say? Um, Livingston, I presume. But anyway, Stanley and Livingston are two different guys. Were early explorers all throughout through the Congo. And I guess Livingston is a guy who wanted to find the beginning of the Nile, right? So he ended up exploring Congo and the Congo River and areas. So I think through their time, we says through the Dark Continent, I guess these were the early explorers of deep down in sub-Saharan Africa. Although some people went there for slave trading, reasons and stuff. They were more so along the coast. But these two gentlemen was kind of the first explorers to go deep down up in there, all up in the Congo and through the river and trying to find the beginning of the Nile. You've heard about that story?
No, I haven't.
Okay, but these are some great books. I'm gonna read them one day because I just want to break that down.
Oh
But these
yeah.
are early explorers of deep down inside sub-Saharan Africa.
Oh, that's deep. That's
Yeah.
deep. Yeah, we should. Yeah. I'm actually looking to getting one of them. I'm sure
Yeah,
they were
when
the
I when I
ones.
do when I do read them, I'm gonna
Mhm.
do a presentation on it because it's a lot of info in these books that we really don't talk about or know about.
I think that it's great that you are offering the reality of populations of humans. It's not a racial thing, and people don't understand this. What Chief X is offering is a reality of what Homo sapiens sapiens did and done in all groups. So I mean, this is actually good, man.
Yeah, I appreciate. Hey, and Gonzo, I consider you an expert. I
Hey,
had to
hey,
come to this conclusion. And Ngozi, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. And Ngozi's an expert with genetics and DNA. I think you can sit down and have a conversation with real experts and be right along with them.
oh yeah, and I had conversations with a few. I had a nice conversation with Razib Khan. I don't know if people heard that on Garfield show in the past, but I'm really looking forward to that debate with Jabari. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I
That's what
told
I need.
Sinetta. Sinetta called me. I said Sinetta, I really don't want to debate Jabari. I would prefer Ngozi debate Jabari.
I need that. Yes, I need that. And you know what's crazy, Chief X? I'm willing to do it for free. I don't even want no money.
Right.
So that's how crazy it is. So,
But he won't do it. He'll prefer to do his own personal presentation though.
well, he did a
That way he can kind of manipulate stuff and he can't get caught up in the question and shit like that.
he did a sloppy job trying to debunk the debunk what you did on Black Egypt. He didn't do a good job on that. I
That was
thought he
one
was
of his
going to do better.
poorest jobs to me.
Yeah, I thought he was going to do better. It was a bunch of red herrings, and he tried to deflect a lot. I'm like, damn, he's weak in that field. So we'll see how it go though, Chief X. I
Somebody got a
appreciate you.
question for you here.
What's going on?
Can you see the screen?
They said, please ask Amir, Chief. We are genetically related
Are we?
to
Are
archaic
we?
humans.
It
Oh
says
yeah,
are
I
we
mean, are we genetically related to archaic humans?
to any archaic human?
Well, all human beings got some archaic human in them. I mean, all non-African populations have 1 to 2% Neanderthal. There is a distinct ghost population that's in West Africans. Again, we don't know really what that is. It's postulated. But even the Nigerians had 0.3% of the MCIs that was sequenced, 0.3% Neanderthal DNA. But that could have came from a few Ibero-Maurutians from the north who drifted down and mixed with more other populations, and it diluted on its way down. So by the time it hit Nigeria, mixing with all those other old hunter-gatherers, it decreased and it was reduced. So we know that the Ibero-Maurutians, who was a crossbreed between Zuzana and something that was Hadza Yoruba-like, or I'll just say ancestral North African, the Zuzana came through the other side. It was non-Africans. And they were in a breed between basal Eurasians and epigravititian hunter-gatherers of Europe, basically Villa man type. So they were those type of people mixed, and then some of those people crossed into North Africa and mixed with the ancestral North Africans. So they had Neanderthal genes in them at the average range of most people. So as those people started to go down and go through, mixing with other people, I'm sure that it reduced down, and this is why you find 0.3% of Neanderthal DNA in Nigerians. But that ghost population is something totally different, and they don't know what that is. Some people postulate Homo heidelbergensis or Rhodesia man. Some people postulate that it's archaic Homo sapiens sapiens, and I believe that one more than Rhodesian man. It makes better sense because when you look at Eleru's skull, it looks like Jabal Ahud's skull from the top.
Mm, yeah. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
Oh no, no! I'll just thank you for letting me on. I'm gonna get on your show tonight about Liberia.
Okay, cool, cool.
Once you open up the queues later after you bill, if you do it. So,
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
all right, Chief X, appreciate
Hey,
it,
Amir, what would you rather people call you?
Amir.
Amir? You
Yes,
want
sir.
to kind of? We got to start saying Amir and let Ngozi go, huh?
Yeah, we gotta let that go. Yeah, it's brother Amir. It's brother Amir.
Amir. It's
That's it.
brother Amir.
Brother Amir. That's it. And you know,
That's what I'm gonna call you, brother Amir,
and that
formerly
community,
known as Ngozi.
formerly known as Ngozi, and I appreciate that. I'm like, we gotta let that go. We in another direction now. We gave the community a facelift. And again, you put people up to the challenge first. So we
Appreciate
gonna
you.
see what's to it. I appreciate it, Chief Bex. So later on tonight, we gonna get it cracking.
All
If
right.
you do it. All
Okay.
right, my
Peace
bro.
out, bro.
Peace.
All right. One more thing I wanted to show. Let me share my screen again. This is my favorite map. Um, Smash uses this a lot. So let's just be clear because we just recapping where the Western Desert is, right? What Reggie and them try to want you to believe that I wish I can find that and link where a lot of people who went north when the Sahara dried up, and a lot of people in the Western Desert gravitated east towards the Nile River. People were trying to get to where the goddamn water was, and the water was that's Mediterranean Sea. People going north, and this Nile River, right? But be aware that the Western Desert is right across west of the Nile Valley. And there are 5 oases in the Western Desert. Uh, uh, Karga Oasis is the southernmost one, right? So be aware. People did not come from out the Green Sahara all the way from southern areas like Uganda and all the way up to the to Aswan and then jump off Egyptian civilization. It never happened. Reggie and them been lying their ass off. Okay, Nubia didn't start nothing. Egyptians started their own, and the first dynasty started right here by Thinis. So people can try to go back 2,000 years before the first dynasty, 3, 4, 5,000 years before the first dynasty. They're reaching for something to fit themselves in. Okay? The Western Desert, the Karga Oasis, at best borders Sudan and Libya and going up northward, not more south. You have to understand that. Geography is important. This is a great map. You see Cairo right here? Cairo's at the tip of the delta. The delta, goddamn it, is the Mediterranean, in my opinion, right? Oh, this is marshy shit and leads out into the Mediterranean Sea, right? Um, what else do I want to say? Yeah. Well, all right. I didn't get to read all these comments. I'm sorry. I got to scroll up so far. Um, what you say, Errol Holmes? Thank you for saying that, Errol Holmes. He says y'all's channels will never grow letting anyone join the panel. Listen, first of all, I'm probably the only one that's really honest about this. I remember I started off said I'm about to be a YouTuber. I don't consider myself a YouTuber. I just consider myself coming on and have fun and talk shit. I said to be a real YouTuber and to grow your channel, you have to have a niche. I don't have a niche. I'm all over the place. Black folk are not into history much. That's mainly what I talk about is history. Black folk is not into history. They're only into things that glorify you. So in this so-called conscious community, I don't care who you are, you're only going to get 500, 1,000, and 2,000 views. On a good day, you may get 4,000, 3,000. But we will always, no matter how long you do this has been going on for 15 years, we will always be under 2,000 view ass niggas. It's just what it is. This is a small online community, and your channel will never blow up like that unless you're just doing something like Mr. Imhotep, when your graphics are on point. You just got these hell of graphics, and you just catering to a bunch of bullshit and pseudoscience. You know what I mean? Then other than that, if you're just being a truthful historian and talking about history, our channels will never grow. We'll always be 1,000, 2,000, 500 view channels, and that's just what it is, right? And what you got to understand is, let's say for instance, people tuned in to Pseudo Killers after show. Just think of any respectful, intelligent people tuned in to Pseudo Killers after show of the interview. They would tune in and be like, "This is some wild ass circus shit. I can't fuck with these," and they gone. So when Earl Holmes says your channels will never grow, letting anyone on the panel, he's correct. You can't have these nutcases, these people with mental health issues on the panels. Keep people who are making points, who have some kind of intellectual prowess on your panels only. Stop trying to debate people with mental health issues and these nutcases. G. Laquan should never be on anyone's motherfucking panel if you're being serious. You can't call yourself intellectual and then bring a nigga like G. Laquan on the panel. G. Lacan. Hey, y'all, I'm out of here. Let me find me something to eat. I ain't had nothing to eat. Oh, you know what? It's a good day. I'm happy. This morning, I went to go see my doctor. I'm trying to tell you, if you're 40 and over, I'm 54 now. If you're 40 and over and you're not seeing your doctor regularly and getting two physicals, a physical every year, and you're supposed to go see your doctor at least 2.5 times a year. I went to go see my doctor today because I had blood work done, and I take high blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine. I started taking a couple years ago. My blood pressure is normalized. My cholesterol levels are on point. I said, "Doc, can we lower these dosages now that my shit is on point and normalized?" He said, "No, it's normalized because you're on your meds. Take your motherfucking meds or you're going to have a stroke and you're going to have a heart attack. It's not that harmful." And I was thinking when I take my high blood pressure medicine that I was going to have erection problems and shit like that. So I asked questions. I asked the pharmacist, "Was this mess with my?" He said, "No, matter of fact, this might help." And he said it might help because when you have these cholesterol issues or blood flow issues, you have plaque in your arteries. So some of this cholesterol medicine is to remove the plaque so blood flow can be better, right? Meaning, if blood flow's better, your erection's gonna be better. You get what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to take these cholesterol medicines and high blood pressure medicines. You're saving your life. My doctor told me I'm on point and all is good. So I'm in a good mood today, right? Uh, uh, um, he scheduled me for colonoscopy, which I was leery about. I had to do research and ask my dad and my brother because they had colonoscopies. They say, "No, they're going to put your ass to sleep." But when you turn 50, doctors will recommend you get a colonoscopy. So you can detect early if you have some prostate issues. Prostate cancer is serious. So you can detect early by getting your colonoscopy and checking these things out. So I'm just in a great mood today. You know what I mean? My health is on point. And I was supposed to start my workout back because I had lost 20 pounds and I was looking fit. I was looking cut and ripped. And Thanksgiving came and I fell off. Christmas came. I ain't been right since beginning of Thanksgiving. And I put 20 pounds back on. And I had that 20 pounds off for a year and a half. But I'm about to knock it back down and get ripped again. The summer's coming. The doctor gave me a clean bill of health, so I'm just gonna start working out again. I might even go to a gym and try to find some youngsters to spar with to keep in shape. Y'all see that form? They calling me a drunk. You ain't seen no drunk look this good. But go. I'm trying to tell you, if you're 40 and over and you ain't had a physical, you tripping. You don't know if you have cholesterol issues. You don't know if you have high blood pressure. You don't know none of that. Go see your doctor, and I'm gonna end with that. Peace out.